Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, Yodlers! We are the Matterhorn Yodlers. I am your host today, Jackie, and we have
No more than 12.
no more than 12, aka Peter. And we have a special ghost.
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 I'll be
We're calling our guest Ghost.
Special guest, Mark here.
Hi.
J5th is still missing in action.
Yeah.
Again, he's on a timeout.
Yeah.
Until we deem him ready to come back. He's on a timeout.
Yeah, we'll have to find him on the Matterhorn. Probably playing around with the Yeti.
Oh, he's shooting hoops, maybe.
Yeah, he's shooting hoops.
Yeah.
Nothing but net.
Is that Harold?
That's the Yeti saying, nothing but net. Yeah.
We're off to a good start today.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my goodness.
Today we're going to be talking about the series Andor.
And/or what?
Andor. Andor. Yes. So, Andor is a series on Disney Plus. It's how many episodes?
12 episodes.
It is.
It was one of the longer ones.
It's
Oh, yeah.
12 episodes long, and
It was one of the ones that they've been working on longer than I think Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So like this one was worked on. This was one of the first ones that they announced. One of the first Disney shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we're going to be talking a lot of details about the episode. So there will be spoilers. But before the spoilers, and you go watch the show and then listen to our episode, we're going to say thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, absolutely. For me, watch it.
I think we're all thumbs up on this one.
Thumbs up,
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa. How dare you assume what my rating is?
I'm going to assume.
It's a thumbs up, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I've been watching it again for the second time in a row, and it's so much better.
Yeah.
Now that you understand certain things.
Yes, it's so much better. And I feel like you do not need to watch all the Star Wars movies to watch this.
No.
It's not very Jedi, and
There's not a lot of tie-in characters. There's just Andor, and you don't even need to watch Rogue One because it takes place before that.
Yes.
So there's no build up there.
It's definitely a good entry point into the series. Although it's completely different tone than like the rest of the Star Wars. It's not
very much.
swashbuckling adventure. It's very
Dark and gritty.
gloomy,
yes.
pessimistic. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So go watch it. I really do recommend it. It is a lot of time, but like if you got a free Saturday, like just binge it because it's pretty good binging it.
Some of those episodes are a little quick.
Yes. They go really quick for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been
I can say you
warned.
can binge it into like 3 different segments.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
right.
the show
There's,
series
a
is like
group.
there's like groupings. So like I think
Yeah.
there's like 3 different groupings
Yeah.
for the show.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So you've been warned. So if you haven't watched it, we're gonna be going to spoilers. So, we're gonna talk about different groups of characters in the episode. So this series has a lot of new characters.
Very much.
So many new characters. It can be really overwhelming with how many characters you're like, wait, who is that?
I think there's only like two others besides Andor.
There's that are repeats.
Yeah.
So there's Andor and
Mon
then
Mothma
On Mothma.
Yeah.
and Saul Guerrera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's in a brief moment.
He's in a couple episodes.
He's in like 2 episodes, but for very short scenes.
Very short. I
Yeah.
feel like they just threw him
But like
in.
that's all I can think of as
Right.
to who are repeats, because we didn't get Organa.
No.
Senator O'Connor, he didn't show up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
There's a lot of new characters, which I like the characters.
Yeah.
They've been really good. So the first group, let's see here. Let's talk about the town that Andor grew up on. I forgot what the planet's called. Oh
my gosh.
I'm blinking.
It has X's in it.
Come on, this was your episode, Jackie.
I'm so sorry.
I don't remember either.
I want to say like flex or reflex or reflex or I don't know.
Ferrix?
Ferrix. That's
Something
it.
like that?
I think it's Ferrix.
Correct us in the comments.
I think we might have lost a lot of credibility just now.
I'm a Star Wars fan. I don't know the name of the planet or the town. What's the name of the show again?
But basically, this planet, they do a lot of salvaging parts and sell them.
Yeah.
That's basically the gist and like the purpose of this planet.
Yeah.
A lot of space. What are they called? Planes? Spaceships?
Spaceships.
Yeah, spaceships.
Spaceships. Yeah. That are just ripped up and stuff. And you get introduced to certain characters. Of course, you get introduced to Andor, which we'll get into him towards the end. But he gets basically taken off his home planet by Fiona Shaw.
Yeah.
Marva. Maarva.
Marva.
Marva. That's who it is.
I remember them calling her that.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, we're going to go back here. Oh, there it is. Hello. All right. All right. So, Andor gets picked up by character Marva. Marva.
I think it's Marva.
Marva.
Yeah.
Andor. And she basically goes in, her career was to steal parts from different ships, like from the Empire mainly. But this town that, like, the planet that they were on, is a very close community. Everyone knows who everyone is. Everyone is, like, very much like family, and I think there's a lot of respect for everyone, and they would do anything for each other. Some other characters that are in the part of the town is Bix, and we've got wow, I am so prepared. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Do we need to put you in a timeout?
Yeah, maybe.
Few episodes timeout.
Timeout. There's other characters, but as far as the town,
there's not too many memorable people for the townsfolk.
No, the main ones, yeah.
That's kind of like the town throughout the series is kind of just like this background noise that happened that you hear from occasionally, like. Meanwhile,
yeah,
this is kind of happening here, and back to the main point of the story.
Yeah, I think the town is just shows kind of the true like people that are a part of the rebellion or will be a part of the rebellion, and I think that's why they focus on it as well, of like how close that community is.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like the initial spark of the rebellion, you know, and just like, okay, we've had enough of the Empire.
Yeah, they don't like the Empire at all,
and we're not gonna take it, you know. Especially once we get to the climax, the end of the season. Yeah, it's just like that's when everybody bands together and decides to fight back.
It was one of those things where, like, I think early on, when the fact that, like, after Andor leaves the planet, they kept coming back to it. And I'm like, oh, they're coming back. Andor's coming back here. Okay. This is where the climax is going to be. It's right here. Yeah. Okay.
And there's, like, the first big fight scene on the planet.
Yeah.
Where basically the what private like detail or security enforcers are looking for Cassian because he murdered someone.
He murdered some other security guards.
Yes.
Yeah. Which
we'll get
that was an interesting story point.
Yes, and we'll get into that when we talk about kind of the Empire side. So there's that fight scene where they're basically protecting Cassian.
The townsfolk.
The townfolks, Bix. But Bix's boyfriend turned him in, and that's how they know. Which unfortunately gets him killed.
Yep.
Which was really like
snitches get stitches, right?
Which was really sad, like, because Bix was like, chained up, and she just sees him just die, and she's just staring at his
the person
dead
that she
body.
Loves right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Protecting her
you
good
can tell
friend.
It's kind of messed her up mentally throughout the rest of the show. You see her; she's very unstable.
She's gone through a lot just for Cassian, and it's just like, I'm curious what their previous relationship was like, of how close they were.
Yeah, I think that's something we might get more into
the second season.
Season 2.
Yeah. And then let's go to the Empire side now. So you've got is it Cyril?
Which one?
Carm, the brown noser.
I think it's Cyril.
Cyril. He is such an interesting character.
Oh,
he's the character that like people, you watch the show, you go, why am I watching this guy? Like, why is he relevant? Like,
I was rewatching like the first 3 episodes and such, and there was one line that like I totally missed, and the guy was like, he was giving a report to his superior, and he's like, did you modify your uniform? And he's like, yes, I enhanced it. And it just showed like what type of character he was. He's just like very proud of his position and the cause that he's in, which kind of drives how crazy he got. Because like
very crazy.
Because like his superior was all like, let it go. Like,
this is not something to stress out about.
Right. It's just like, we don't want the Empire involved.
He's looking to rise to the ranks, so he was hoping that this was going to be the thing that was going to push him to the top. It's like, oh, I found the killer of these guards, and da-da-da, even though the guards were horrible people to begin with. But yeah, it was just like, he took it as like, this is going to be the thing that puts my name to the top, and ended up getting him fired.
He got fired, and he had to go move in with his mom, which was so interesting. It was just like, there was a scene where he's like eating a bowl of cereal with blue milk and like cocoa. I was like, are they going to sell this in the park?
Oh, I hope so. I look yummy.
His mom, I like the mom character.
The mom was so fun.
Edie Karn, that's her name.
Yeah.
She did a good job.
She was like the perfect mom.
And she's like, your uncle's got a job lined up for you.
It totally was like kind of like that typical like Jewish kind of vibe, like Jewish family or
pride in the family sort of.
Yeah. It's all about like your position and such, and yes.
Well, I mean, is this like once you like see the mom and like how she treats him, it's just like, oh, that's why he's the way he is. Because it's just like, oh, it's just like, it's all about like, oh, what are you bringing to the table? What is your position in life? What connections do you have? And so, yeah.
Yeah. And he's, even though he's fired, he's still obsessive over the original case and getting Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
Which he shows up at the end of the funeral, which we'll kind of go back to that. You also get introduced to the other Empire lady.
Deidre Miro.
Yes, Deidre Miro. Yeah. That's who it is. She's an interesting character. Very cold. Mm-hmm. She got introduced and why she's focusing on this kind of case was because of the original box.
Yes, the story point of this mysterious MacGuffin that tracks all Star Destroyers in the area, sort of thing. So yeah, and her seeing like she's drawing the lines, you know. She's like conspiracy theorist in the sense of like there's a rebellion happening. It's happening, right. And then nobody believes her. And
right.
See, look, here to here to here. It's all interconnected.
Yeah, and there was like a meeting she was in, and they're like of everyone that's in her position. And there was a line. It was like, "We are here to like help people or like cure them of this disease," which was like rebellions and such. And I just thought that was interesting. And with the series, you just get such a deeper look of like how the Empire runs.
Yeah.
And like how awful it is.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like in the original Star Wars, you see like Darth Vader like throwing people.
You see
around.
The military. That's what you see. You see the military force, but this is the intelligence side of things.
Absolutely, like how they run things.
This is like the CIA of the Empire.
Yeah, basically. And then you also get introduced to a group of people, which is like the Senate or the rich people.
Oh yeah.
You've got Mon
Mothma,
and like her husband, and you get introduced to her family and such. And basically, Mothma,
yes,
is working with Luthen. Basically, it sounds like raising funds for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Because
she's pretty much paying for it all herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, it shows, like, how people are just not listening to her cause in the Senate. There was, like, a scene where she's basically, like, talking to no one.
And people are just slowly filing away. It's just
yes.
Like, they don't care.
Right. And, you know, you could tell that she's trying to make an impact, but people are greedy and they're like, oh, but my life is good right now.
Right.
I don't care about what's happening on the planet that I represent.
It's definitely something you see, the classism with politicians and things like that. You also got a glimpse of that with the Star Wars Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
They kind of went into that a little bit about how the representatives don't necessarily represent the people.
Right.
They represent themselves.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of that.
Yeah, and that's another thing about this series. It goes into a lot of like deeper layers of like the system and the culture of the different planets and stuff, where you know the regular mainstream like movies don't really have a chance to get into. And so it's just more world building, which you know as a Star Wars fan, and so
always appreciate more world building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like
even
also,
especially for a character who was only in one scene in Return of the Jedi. I want an entire movie on Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Well, and also in Rogue One, she is in Rogue One. Also,
she is in Rogue One.
So, yeah, no, it's great to see that character fleshed out because obviously people were like, oh, what's her backstory? And so, like with any character in Star Wars, there's a backstory somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
hers is very interesting with her husband being in an arranged marriage. So, like, she's not in a happy marriage, and she doesn't want her daughter to be put into that world, but she has to because
she has to. Make
she's in a pickle.
She has
to make money.
She has to make a deal.
She has to make a deal to hide the fact that she's funding the rebellion.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. She's like basically being spied on at all times.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. How she's all like, you know, she can't trust her own driver and things like that. And even her husband's all like, the driver's not listening, and she knows exactly that the driver's listening.
Yeah.
And she has a good relationship with Lutheran.
Luthen.
Luthen. I'm sorry.
We're not going into religion here.
I didn't know there were Lutherans in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, Luthen, which he's such a cool character.
Yeah.
He's what you would picture in terms of like the gritty like rebellion leader.
Yeah.
Like
living multiple lives to make sure that things are getting done with the rebellion. Selling his soul. I mean, I just had the realization, like, you know, both him and Mon Mothma are basically selling their souls for the cause of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's given up everything for this, and like he's basically the puppet master.
Oh yes, he's kind of like the unofficial head of the rebellion at this point.
Yeah, and
he's kind of manipulating all the different rebellious sects.
Yes.
And trying to helping control what their actions are.
Yeah, even the one sect, like rebellion by the one character that was,
Saul Gerrera.
Saul Gerrera, which is
Boogale.
A rebellion.
Boogale will tell the truth. Boogale will know.
That's a good impression. That's great.
Saul has a rebellion group, but they're a little bit more intense of a rebellion group.
They're kind of the people that like they don't care what the casualties are. They're just gonna go in, do as much damage as they can.
And Luthen is much more behind the scenes, get in, get out before they know. That's his strategy. Take them down from the inside out.
Right. And I do like how this actually kind of explains some of the things that you see in Rogue One when it comes to Saul Gerrera, because there's a bit of tension between the rebellion and Saul Gerrera, and you kind of see the start of that here, where you kind of see why he's not really a part of the rebellion. He's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was one episode that I was like, oh, he's way cool. It was like when he was fleeing from
Luthen.
Luthen. When he's fleeing from the Empire.
Yeah.
Takes on like this monitoring Star Destroyer or whatever, the satellite.
All by himself.
Yeah.
I loved that scene. It just showed like, you're not gonna get me. Like,
it's like my ship is way cooler than yours.
That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the show.
His little starfight.
Yeah,
it was kind of a cool scene.
You also get introduced to Vel. She is a part of the rebellion group.
She's Mon Mothma's sister.
Yes, which I thought that was a nice little surprise that they're related.
Yeah.
And how she's a part of the first initial like steal, the gold rush steal, I guess. I would say.
Was
stealing the salaries. Yeah.
That was such an epic scene. Just to see like the prep work of going into it.
It was a great story arc.
Yeah. The poor guy that like had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what were some of your favorite parts of that scene?
Of the whole stealing the salaries?
Yeah.
What was that one called? That one had a fun name about the event. I have them here. The episode's called The Eye.
The Eye, yes.
Which is that big celestial event with all the asteroids.
That was so pretty.
Or whatever, the meteor shower. Like,
yes.
That was, like, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this basically incident was so important for the future because news got out about this.
Oh yeah, it was galactic news.
It was big news, and people were like, oh, is there a rebellion? It gave some hope to those that like, because at this point the rebellion was very secretive. I mean, there weren't that many people part of this rebellion that we know of as of yet. And what we would know of like in the other movies. And so I think this was such like a great setup of just showing like what a rebellion could do.
Yeah.
The fact that it was like, I don't know, like 5 people, 6 people?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Very small numbers came in and stole a lot of money.
They did steal a lot of money. And Cassian Andor was a big part of that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So he was basically brought onto this project by Luthen.
Right.
Not Lutheran.
He was brought on, kind of like a mercenary, a hired gun.
I totally thought like Cassian Andor at this time like was so much like a Han Solo. I cannot talk. Han Solo character of like, I'm just in it for myself. I just want the money, get in, get out, move on with my life.
Yeah.
And so this series really shows his character development of why he sticks with the rebellion that you see in Rogue One. And just the fact that like he does this heist, this money heist, and then they take they take off, get out of the planet, and they go to try to rescue that one young kid that got crushed by money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So sad when that happened. He was like actually one of the good guys.
The ones you
so
liked.
much hope.
You did have so much hope. But they went to a doctor. They couldn't save him. And Andor...
Did he die?
He did die.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that.
Well, like I think at the end, that's what Cassian has, or Andor has. He has like his like recorded speeches or whatever, the things that he would say for the rebellion and stuff as inspiration. So that's additional like character development of like, okay, that's another reason why Andor is going to be joining the rebellion is because of the things that he said. So
yeah, and he finds out one of his persons that was in the rebellion, Arvel, yeah, he gets shot by Cassian because he finds out that he was just going to steal the money.
yeah.
And he made up why he was a part of the rebellion. Which was just like, that was kind of shocking because like the first incident when he killed the cops, it seemed like that was his first kill.
Yeah, he struggled.
He was
with
very
it.
shocked at that first kill.
Yeah.
And I think he had that moment of like realizing that like he had a conscience listening to this guy going like, I'm not in this just for the money.
Yeah.
Like there's this is meant for something else. Like he could have just been like, I'm going to take all of it now, but he only took what he was told he was going to get paid. And he says, I'm taking what's mine, you have the rest. I killed him, he's dead.
You're on your own,
You're on your own.
basically. And Cassian, he goes to a planet and he gets arrested, basically. Which,
For no reason.
for no reason. Which just shows, like...
Wrong place, the wrong time situation.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of like foreshadowing, because, like, he gets stopped by a droid, basically.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is the same type of droid that is
His
in
partner is in
Yeah.
Rogue One. So-
Hopefully he makes an appearance in season 2.
I
Yeah, that'd
think
be
so. Yes. And so he gets thrown into jail, which brings you into a whole different group, a whole different like part.
Yep.
A whole different story arc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Story arc.
Second story arc. The prison.
The
Well,
prison. Yeah.
Technically the third one, because the first one is him escaping Ferrix. Or, you know.
I kind of combine that because honestly, the first 3 episodes are so boring.
Rewatch them.
Okay.
They are not as boring.
Okay, I'll try to rewatch them. I remember watching it, it's like, okay. Like, I mean, I was into it, but like, there wasn't much that was happening.
So, are there just like more allusions to the rest of the story, or
When
is it
I
just...
rewatched it for the second time, you really got to know who the characters were,
Mm,
and
You appreciated them more.
yes.
okay.
Yeah, so the jail's set up, was interesting. Basically, we learn minimum guards, but like the floor is completely electric, and that's how they control them.
The floor is lava.
Yeah, basically. And they have to build parts for something for the Empire.
They have to hit a quota. They're all kind of competing with one another as to who can produce the most, and if you're the last, you get punished.
And they're in there for some time, right? And then once your time is up, you supposedly go.
But it was revealed
that they just go to a different level. And
well, it was an accident that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the guy, he was supposed to get out, but he accidentally got transferred to another floor.
Instead of another prison.
Instead of being taken out. And then, in order to cover up what happened,
everyone.
They killed everyone on that new floor.
Yeah.
And so then, because of how this prison worked, nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, they would communicate sign language.
Yeah, I love that. It was just like, oh, that's very like low tech way of communicating. It was great.
Yeah.
It's just like, what else do you have in like a situation like that? So that was really cool.
Yeah. And so they find out there's no escape.
Which brings us into probably one of the coolest characters of the show, Andy Serkis's character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I forget his name, but Andy Serkis.
Kino.
The kind of the head of the floor.
Yeah.
That Cassian is assigned to.
Which is interesting because he's like bossing them around, but he's a prisoner.
Right.
Same as them.
Yeah.
Equal.
Well, he's just working because he's so close to being quote unquote released.
Yeah, he had like
it's just like I don't care.
And like Cassian, like the whole time is trying to convince him, like, stuff. Let me know because I'm trying to like get out of here.
Yeah, he's wanting to know how many guards are
he's
there.
Like he's not willing to comply because he thinks everyone's listening. He goes, nobody's listening. Nobody cares.
No one cares. The Empire doesn't care, and that's something that Cassian like tells people. The Empire doesn't care.
Yeah.
About the individuals. They're not listening.
And that's definitely the constant theme throughout all the story arcs. The first one where they can just walk into an Imperial base and steal all their money. They can go in and break, prison break. They can go in and totally throw off an entire garrison of people. It's like literally that is the theme of this season is the Empire does not care.
Yeah, the fact that the Empire does not care because I think they're just so like hot.
They've already claimed victory.
Yeah, they already think they're the winner, and they're like, no one can
beat us.
We are premium, like top dog. So then we find out, they can't leave, right? And they plan the prison break, which is that
was probably the best part of the season was the prison break.
The prison break, yeah.
Which I thought they were going to stretch that out, which they didn't. So that surprised me. I thought that was going to be like, okay, now they're going to get ready. So there's going to be an episode about them planning, and then another. Then no, it jumps right into it's like, escape.
Yes.
Climb.
Yes.
Climb.
I love that they're like climb, and they're just all attacking, trying to escape, and you could just see the fear of the guards.
Oh, they're hiding.
They are hiding because
they know they're outnumbered. They can't win.
They're completely outnumbered. Once the electric system was down, they lost total control.
Power. Yeah.
And then they find a way out, and they have to jump off
and swim.
And unfortunately, Kino can't swim.
We don't see him die.
No.
We don't see him die.
Don't see him die, but he's like, why aren't you going? He's like, I can't swim. And that moment of like, I worked so hard and I can see the freedom and I can't swim.
When you see like the sadness in Andor
at
that point, because he's just like, this is what you've been waiting for, and you can't get it, and then he gets thrown off the edge.
Andor Cassian
mobbed
gets
off.
pushed off, basically, and all of these men are just swimming and trying to escape and hide. And then there's like a scene where like they have to climb this entire like cliff,
Right.
Yeah.
which was intense.
Yeah.
I didn't care for like how they got off the planet.
Oh, running into the two other aliens, and it's like,
Yes.
We don't like the Empire, so I guess we can
I
drop
guess
you
we'll
off.
give you a ride.
Yeah, it was at that
I thought it
point-
was entertaining. It was entertaining to see him like caught up in that net thing and like they can't move at all. They're like,
Oh, where they
And they're
like try to
bantering.
run and steal
Right.
the ship, and they're like they just get caught right away. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just they didn't know how to transition the scene.
No, I think it's a clear indication of showing how like
No
the
one like,
hatred towards the Empire, that they don't care that they're helping prisoners out.
Yeah,
They don't like the Empire. The
Right.
Empire is not liked.
yeah, because the Empire is just it's taking over too much and ruining people's lives.
Well, like they were talking about how it's ruined their fishing.
yeah,
You know, it's like they've ruined their livelihood since the Empire's come.
yeah. Cassian gets off the planet, and we get kind of
Which I didn't know this until watched a video and they talked about it. The person he's with, he's in Rogue One.
yeah, I didn't know that until you told me.
Yeah, he's in Rogue One. He's one of the
Sorry about that.
Yeah, he's in Rogue One. He's one of the people that volunteer for the Scarif mission, the secret, not authorized mission. So, you know how, like, Andor, he gets the people, he's all like, you know, we're here to help you, sort of thing. You know, like, he's one of the people there.
I loved his line where he's like, "We have to tell people."
Right.
And he just says it multiple times. We have to tell people. And it just shows like this is just the spark of the rebellion. Because another moment was when they were in the jail, they heard about the money heist.
Right.
Which is interesting. They're like, "Oh, do you know what?" When Cassian got in the jail, and they're like, "Oh, do you know anything about this jail heist?"
He's like, no, I don't know anything.
Is it the rebellion? Is there a group? And he's like, no, nothing. And it's just funny because he was a part of that.
Well, the thing was, all of their prison sentences were doubled because of that incident.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all in there a lot longer. So I don't want to be the person in prison to be like, yeah, you know how you're here twice as long now? That's because of me.
You're right.
You're not going to make a lot of friends in prison by announcing that you've doubled their sentence.
Yes. Yeah, and then we find out that Marva is
Andor's
Cassian's
mom.
adopted mom passed away.
Right. Which you
And-
can kind of guess that was the direction it was going, seeing her throughout the
Right.
series. She was kind of getting older, and so, yeah.
And they're basically setting up the Empire side is, planning on like finding Cassian at the funeral.
Yeah.
And that's kind of setting up for the big final scene, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, so, like, the whole setup, I mean, originally the Empire wasn't going to authorize the funeral, but, you know, the intelligence agency's like, no, this is our chance to find this person who will lead us to this rebellious sect here that we're trying to locate. And it totally ends up blowing up in their face, literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, and we find out that Luthen has an insider in the the Empire.
Right, the intelligence.
The intelligence.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And there's a great speech that he has with them, which is really cool and just shows like because he wanted out. He's like, I have a good life. I've got a family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with the rebellion. And he's like, you're never done with the rebellion.
You can't leave.
Which is an interesting side.
Oh, yeah. It
It was
was
just like, who else does he have?
Yeah.
like especially like a secret agent or whatever within the Empire, to where you can get that information and everything. So, yeah.
He's like, I've invested too much into you. You cannot leave.
I feel like I've had some bosses like that.
Well, I mean,
you can't leave.
It definitely shows the dark side of the rebellion in his speech, because he's totally threatening his family.
Yeah.
Luthen's totally threatening his family. Like, I know you. You're not done. You're a part of this now. Like,
well, like, Luthen is not like a so-called like good guy.
right. A lot of people would associate, the rebels. They're a bunch of good guys. But I think what Rogue One did was kind of set the stage that not all the rebels were good people.
Right.
And, like, yes, their intentions might be good, but they're still not good people.
Yeah. All right, let's finish up with the last scene, which is the
Funeral.
The funeral scene. The Empire's been there for a while, setting up. Basically, they came packing with firearms and grenades and bombs and whatnot, which is
for just one guy.
No, they were already there.
Yeah.
Well, they were afraid of a bigger rebellion group.
Right. Because it's just like, the funeral is Cassian's mom, and it's just like
she was known for being a part of this like rebellious sect anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just like it's a tight-knit community anyway. And then, she had a pre-recorded speech.
Which was another great speech.
Oh, yeah. It's like they had some good speech writers
they
on
did.
This show.
Yeah. And you've got someone there was like the young kid who made a bomb.
Yeah.
That was interesting how he made a bomb to attack. There was another character that had a very small part at the first episode and came back in the last episode.
Was it the snitch, right?
It was the snitch. So I thought when I was rewatching,
snitches get stitches. That's what the lesson of Andor. Snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Or snitchers die. That's what happens.
When I was rewatching the series and I saw his little part at the beginning, he's just asking, Cassian for his money back because he doesn't want to be swindled, because obviously Cassian is kind of swindling for money and
but
investments.
He pays back all his debts.
And he's like, no, I want my money now. He's like, you're not gonna get it. And it just shows like how desperate he is to like
make a quick buck,
get back at Cassian. And
no, he got his money back.
Did he?
Yep. With when Andor came back after the heist, he says this money will cover my debts.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yes, he paid back his debt.
Then why do you think he turned
for money?
For more money?
Yeah, for like a reward. Yeah. Be like, hey, Andor's here. He's in that building. I want some compensation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You also get the crazy guy, Cyril. He comes back to the funeral.
Right.
Because he's
his partner. I like his partner.
Oh yeah.
He's fun.
Yeah. And basically you get the marching band. The marching band scene was epic. It set the tone. I can feel like any other marching band's like, we're doing a Star Wars show and this is gonna be in it.
It was cool.
Well, one of the things that I found out about that scene is actually all the instruments were actually real instruments, and that was all diegetic sound. It was all like what they were actually playing. And so it was also like the guy who did the musical score for the series. That was one of the first things he worked on, because they wanted to make sure that it set the tone for the entire series. So yeah, I was blown away that those were actually like real instruments that they were actually playing.
And I just love how they like all slowly walk and join together to this march, and then the Empire is just on the other side, and then the bomb gets thrown and it's just chaos.
Well, when Marva's declaring her speech, declares, to fight
the Empire.
And then when they start to interrupt her, when the Empire tries to silence her funeral, then that's when the
people
rebellion
are angry
happens.
because people respected her in this community.
Yep.
Yeah, and then as far as we know, it ends at, Cassian sends...
Which I think is interesting because, like, Cassian, I don't think he didn't go back for Marva's funeral.
Mm-mm.
He came back for, what's her name?
Bix.
He came back for her. He didn't go to the funeral. He went, it was focused on her. He had a mission. And I think that was kind of like, I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to get her out of here. Because I think he partially feels responsible for what's happened.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we get them get them off the planet, and I'm trying to think how else it ends. How does the last...
Cassian confronts Luthen.
That's right. He's like, oh, were you just going to kill me?
He's like, you came here to kill me, didn't you?
And he did. He did come there to kill him because he was a loose end.
Right. And then he goes, I'm ready to join. I'm all in.
Yeah.
It was great to see Andor's character arc finally hit that point where he's all like, I've had enough. Like, I'm going to fight this empire. Like, everything that he's been through, he's going to fight.
Yeah. Overall, I think this series was just, like, such a good, like, behind the scenes of building the rebellion.
Yes.
And just, there was many moments within this series that, like, I cried of when, like, the Empire was just, like, killing innocent people. And it just, like, it made it so real. And it's just, like, how, like, controlling this Empire is getting more and more and more. And there was that breaking point of the people are like, we've had enough.
And that's a sign for anything. Just, you push people far enough, eventually people are going to fight back. And I think that's a real message for our world today,
Yeah. And what do you think is going to... So they are doing a second season.
Yeah.
They've already started recording it or filming it. What are some things you want to see in the second season? I think we're going to get more of a backstory of Cassian's sister.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a loose end right there.
They touched on it just on the first episode.
The first story arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm interested in, because it's just like, because like the group of kids he is with, the tribe of kids, didn't speak English. It's like we don't really know like why are there all these kids there? We're the adults, and how'd they end up there?
I think there's definitely going to be some more flashback of like developing.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot more of a Cassian backstory. Because we didn't really get too much of his backstory.
No.
We got a lot about Andor doing stuff, but not so much about like his backstory. And I think, and where Bix, right, Bix?
Yeah.
What their relationship is like,
right.
where that comes into play. I think that's going to play an integral part of the next season. My wish list?
Yeah.
Ahsoka.
You think Ahsoka's gonna be in the second season?
She's an integral part of the start of the rebellion.
That's true.
Like, she is fulcrum.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch the Rebels cartoon show, fulcrum is basically the organization behind the rebellion. Like, think of Luthen, but a Jedi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a good guy rebellion.
Yeah,
Rebel.
I could see it. Especially since, they have announced Ahsoka's own series, and so that would just play right into like, oh, here's Ahsoka, get ready for her series.
Right.
Yeah. Any other wish list items you want to see? I think we'll get a relationship of how he meets, it's like K something.
Oh, K2SO?
K2SO, that's it.
Yeah.
Which apparently he was in the movie. Or in the series.
Right. Didn't he like voice act something random?
He was in K2SO. K2SO was in there. He was the voice of the
Of the droid?
of the droids.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. Probably just for consistency purposes.
Yeah.
Whether that's actually K2SO or not, I don't know.
Well,
No, that one wasn't.
No,
K2SO.
it's more of like the voice of the droid.
I want more of what is his mom's droid, B2 Emo.
Oh, he was so cute.
He
the
was.
little droid.
The depressed droid.
I want more of him, and he was stuttering. It's just like, oh, keep trying, little droid.
I know, he just loved his owner, Marva.
Yeah. So it's like that's a very interesting droid to have there. And it's like, oh, well, how come he wasn't in, Rogue One? What happened to him? I also want to see more of what was the suck-up's name? Cyril. I want to figure out what's his deal with that one other officer. It's like,
there was like a weird, like
stalker vibe.
Weird stalker romantic vibe at the end when he saves like
her
Deidre.
life.
Yeah, her life, and it was just like, ooh.
Are they gonna kiss?
Yeah, there was a moment.
Is this gonna be like a weird kiss moment?
Is this gonna be like the worst romance story?
I know. Is this gonna be when like Kylo Ren and Rey kiss? It's weird.
I think this is my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get the storyline of how both of them end up betraying the Empire.
Really? You think they both will?
I either think one will die and it will cause the other person to join the rebellion.
Or one of them has to kill the other one in some certain situation. Oh man.
I think they're gonna betray each other.
They're gonna betray each other.
There's gonna be some sort of betrayal, and it'll cause the other one to be like, "I'm going over to the rebels."
That's interesting.
And I think it makes more sense for the lady to go join the rebels, and he becomes the catalyst of her doing that. That the Empire orders her to kill him or something like that.
One of them's going to find out who the mole is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, they're setting up for that. One of them is going to find out who the mole is.
Oh, it's going to be so sad.
He will probably die.
Because he has a kid and a family and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. A lot of good thoughts.
Theories.
Well, it's just like, it's not the first time that they brought, just Star Wars as a whole, they brought like an enemy and made him a rebel. It was just like that happened in Rebels with that one officer. I can't remember his name. With the beard, weird beard.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of possibility and growth with this series because we don't really know the timeline exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think they've said that season 2 is going to be what's right before Rogue One.
Yeah. Right before Rogue One. Okay.
I think at the beginning of the series, it says was it like 5 years before the Battle of Yemen?
Right.
And so that kind of gives us an idea. It's like, okay, this is not going to be.
Well, the fact that he got sentenced for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which was like 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. You knew he was getting out of jail.
Right.
Right.
And then, it showed that he was in there for, a year?
At least. I don't know how long.
A while.
He was in there
for a long time.
I mean, I'm sure you could look at, the amount of time on his board or whatever and figure out how long he was there. But I don't have the patience for that.
Which we get into our first, Star Wars end credit scene.
Was there an end credit scene?
Yeah.
I need a reminder.
Yeah. You find out what they were building.
Really? I
don't think we watched that.
We didn't watch it.
Oh.
Is it in the last episode?
Uh-huh.
We're going to have to go back and watch it tonight.
Well, we'll tell our viewers.
Yeah.
They're building part of the Death Star.
Okay, I figured.
Okay.
I figured
so you see what they're using, you see them have the parts and you see them building something with it and it pans out and they're building the Death Star.
I figured that's what they were building when they were in jail, were parts of the Death Star.
Okay.
Like it was suspected that that's what it was, and then they revealed it. It's like, oh, yep, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Wait.
And probably caused delay.
Mandalorian had an end credits scene.
You're right. It
so
did.
This isn't the first time.
You're right.
Because it
had the Boba Fett one.
Yeah. Okay, I can't believe we didn't wait and watch it. So
I didn't either. I found out afterward, and I was like, "What?"
Have to go see it now. Yeah,
I know. You just never know with like Marvel or Star Wars series now with end credit scenes.
It's just like I don't know. We'll go see a romantic comedy at a theater. We'll wait for a end credit scene. You never know if Nick Fury will show up.
All right, let's move on to ratings. We did get a message from Japheth on his rating.
And we won't read it because he's grounded. No.
I am getting it up.
Well, while she's getting that up, I'm going to give it a 3. I think it was good. I feel like there were a lot of drawn out moments. It was just kind of like, I know the world building, I get it, but like you focus in on 3 episodes, the 3 endpoints of each thing. Like that was like the cool part of the series, which they were awesome and the writing was superb, but there was a lot of fluff in there that was like, all right, can we move along? Can we move this? Especially that first arc with the heist. Like, I felt like they dragged that out. Like, let's introduce all the members of this group that's going to do the heist. And they all die except for one. And it's like, we just wasted all this time doing this character development. So, like, I felt like it was just drawn out a little too much, but it was really good. The parts that were good were really good.
Right, yeah. I feel a lot of the same way.
Yeah. Japheth gave it a 3.5, so 3.5 Mickey bars, and he's looking forward to season 2.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was very skeptical about Andor. I'm like, I don't know if I'm really going to care about this story. Because I don't think it was going to be very, the Force or anything like that, which it wasn't.
No.
And you know what? It still scratched that itch.
Yeah, it does.
So
I think it showed us that Star Wars could be Star Wars even without like Force users in it. I think, it still works. It's a darker story.
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
It's not fun Star Wars.
Right.
This is like
It's definitely there's more adult things in it. Like this is the first time you kind of have a love scene. They swear in this one.
There's some swearing.
There's some swear words. So
yes.
be caution. Don't put your 4-year-old in front.
I just
might
think
be
it's
too
funny
much for
because
them.
it's just like I saw articles. It's like, oh, this is the first Star Wars that had the S word.
Right.
This is like, okay, this is what you're focusing on.
All right, Mark, what do you rate it?
So this is out of 5 Mickey bars.
5
right?
Mickey bars.
I think 3.5, just a little bit above average. Again, I'm with Peter on this, where there was a lot of just drawn out moments that just kind of slowed the pacing of the story.
Cyril.
Though I liked his character, it's just like it took them a long time to get him where he needed to be.
Right.
But again, I felt like it was definitely like a mashup between Star Wars, Blade Runner, and THX 1138.
Right.
And it wasn't bad because of that. It's just it just didn't feel like 100% Star Wars. But which is fine, and I think that's what they were going for. But I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, probably going in before watching it once, I give it a 3 out of Mickey bars. But because I'm rewatching it, I've enjoyed it a lot more. And because I think it's rewatchable, unlike some of the series that I've watched that I've enjoyed the first time, but I don't enjoy the second time, like Mandalorian. Because I feel like this is rewatchable, and there's different things you can look at as far as character development and symbolism, I give it a 4.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it's a good binge show. as far as don't do a lot of like time in between each episode because you forget some of the good parts and the good moments, because there were a lot of dead parts, but I think there's a reason for those dead parts, and there's a lot of symbolism when you rewatch it.
Right. Of course there is. You know, I totally get that.
And so I think it gets a higher for me because it's rewatchable.
So I guess I'll have to watch it again and see if I have that same viewpoint. Which is surprising to me because I know when the first time we watched
I was not into it.
You were not into it.
Mm-mm.
And then, like, you know, just recently you're binging through it. It's just like, holy cow, she really likes this now.
I was watching it because we were traveling and I was binging through it and I was like glued to it. I was like, this is so good. Now that I know who all the characters are and I know the overall story, I get these little tiny references.
That's how a lot of people view Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You watch it the first time and you're like, I don't know. There's so many characters, I don't get it. And you finish watching, you go back and you watch it again, and you're like, that was amazing.
Yeah, you get all the different like writing points and like the brilliant like points.
It does
of
a really
writing.
good job of tying it all together. So
Yes,
they do.
Yeah.
So I think if you've got the time, I would rewatch it. But yeah. So let us know what your thoughts are on the series. You can let us know through our Facebook posts, Instagram. You can email us. You can share it. If you're listening on Anchor, if you just scroll down on your phone, there's an option to put in your comments, and we can share those as well on Anchor or Spotify. So you can let us know that way. And make sure you're following us and share with, friends and family that may enjoy the podcast or have watched the show, Andor.
Yep.
And we do have a shop that has some merchandise items.
Yep.
Those will be linked on our accounts. Those are just for you to enjoy if you like. No pressure on our end. And with that being said, have a magical day.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember...
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.